saying? You're on.
Tonight is Masechta Shabbos, Daf Vav. So, Rav Safra, Rav Yochanan, the Gemara is looking for an example. We talked about a case where a person carries something from his store via a Carmelis, right? A Carmelis is not a Rosh Hashanah, not a Rosh Hashanah, and into the Rosh Hashanah. So the Chachamim said Chayiv. Ben Azai said Potter. Why? Because he said every time you walk, when you take a step, it's like you stop. So basically, when you walked from the Rosh Hashanah through the Carmelis, so that's it. You stop there because every step you take, it's as if you stopped. So when you transfer from Rosh Hashanah to a Carmelis, you're not chayiv. And then when you went from the Carmelis, Rosh Hashanah, you're not chayiv. So that's why he says potter. The Chachamim say no. They don't believe this concept of the mahalech is ka'omed dami. That when you walk, it's considered that you come to rest every time you take a step. So the question is, though, the Gemara wants to know, give me an example for the Chachamim in other cases where you'd be chayiv from going from a Rosh Hashanah to a Rosh Hashanah via some other place. The Gemara doesn't seem to understand why the Chachamim would say you're chayiv. So, midi the havra maver chayfetz Rosh Hashanah. For example, it could be in a case where a person is in Rosh Hashanah and he walks more than 4 amas. Now, as long as he doesn't come to a stop, he's potter. It's only when he comes to a stop. So the Gemara says that, in essence, he is going through a p'tur until he stops when he's chayv. So the Gemara wants to say that's similar to a case where you're walking through a Carmelis before you get to the Rosh Hashanah. That's immediate.
Isn't it similar to when now if you walk in, you see that you're carrying something, you shouldn't stop, you just keep going until you enter.
Correct.
Go back to Rosh Hashanah.
Correct.
Right? Same thing.
Correct. But let's say you do come to a stop in the Rosh Hashanah. You're going to be chayiv, even though for all that time you were potter. So the Gemara wants to say, maybe that's a model for what we described of going from a Rosh Hashanah to a Rosh Hashanah via a Carmelis. Gemara says, no. Hasam lav afagav the kamet noket leva ozl potter, but kimanech lechayiv. Yeah. There, as long as you walk, you're potter. Once you come to rest, you're chayiv. Hachanami lo yishna. So Gemara wants to use that as a proof. In our case, Gemara says, midami. There's no comparison. Hasam kol heichad manech le makom chiyuvu. If you're in Rosh Hashanah, any place you decide to stop is going to make you chayiv. Once you're beyond 4 amas, and I go 5 amas, 6 amas, 7 amas, 8 amas, 9 amas, then I come to, it doesn't make a difference where I stop, I'm going to be chayiv. Here, if I decide to stop in the Carmelis, I'm not going to be chayiv. So it's not comparable to the other case, right? So the Gemara tries again. The Gemara wants to say like this. If I carry something in Rosh Hashanah for 3.5 amas, am I chayiv or am I potter? I'm potter. I'm only chayiv if I carry it at a minimum of 4 amas. So the Gemara wants to say, well, every time I start walking, I went through a p'tur, because when I walked 3 amas, I was potter. Now, fine. Then I ended up stopping at 7 amas. Now I'm chayiv. But I went through an area where I could have been potter if I would have stopped at 3 amas. So the Gemara wants to compare that to maybe the case of walking through a stop. Isn't it true that lav afal gav da hamanach lebetoch dal amas potter? That if I had stopped at 3 amas, I'd be potter. But kimanach lebesof dal amas. But let's say I stop at 5 amas chayiv. Hochinami lo yishna. So here, going from the Rosh Hashanah via the stav into the Rosh Hashanah, it should be no different. And that's the example for the Chachamim. That's why you're chayiv. Versus me dummy. But that's not comparable either. Hasum lagabi da hay gavra. Welcome to Chulam Malcolm Chivu. Yeah, for this individual guy, if he walked 3 ames in that location, he'd be potter. That's only him. But that's a location that if anybody else walked, it would create a chiyuv. It's not like it doesn't describe an area that's a patur. For that person, it's a patur. But in a stav, it's not just for me that when I walk through the stav and I happen to stop there that it's going to be potter. It's going to be potter for everybody. So it's also not a good comparison. So the Gemara tries a third time. There's something called the sides of the Rosh Hashanah. Let's say you're in Rosh Hashanah on La Brea, and then they're like sort of like some boards that stick out so that customers could gather on the side. Because in the middle there's millions of people, and then to conduct some business, that was called the Tzidei Rosh Hashanah. So there's a debate what status that has. But let's say I carry something from the Rosh Hashanah to the Rosh Hashanah via this side area.
Is that what you see in the car though? You had the White Avenue, then you had the columns, and there was an area from the columns up to the wall. That must be the area that we're talking about,
like
right?
Rashi says. Like a courtyard that's opened up there. There's a machloikas Rab Lezer Rabbanon be'eruvin beper kol gagois v'ami Rabbanon delav kro Rosh Hashanah dami. It's not considered like Rosh Hashanah. Filohachi ki ofik Rosh Hashanah yachid Rosh Hashanah derech sham chayiv. So even though it doesn't qualify as a full Rosh Hashanah, somehow if you carry something from the Rosh Hashanah to the Rosh Hashanah via that area, you're chayiv. So the Gemara wants to say that would be similar to our case, trying to carry something to that via that stav. If you were to put it down there, potter, later on, but on this, maski flora of papa, hanich l'rabbanon, the Omar, the Amrit Sidei Rosh Hashanah lav Rosh Hashanah dami. You'd have something to say, according to the Chachamim, who hold that the sides of the Rosh Hashanah were not like the Rosh Hashanah. El Rab Lezer ben Yaakov Domer Tzir Rosh Hashanah Kirush Hashanah dami. He does not hold of that sheet that it's considered not Rosh Hashanah. So then you don't have a comparison to our case. Michael and Neymar. Armali Ravacha B'Ravika. So Eimer Deshamis Rab Lezer ben Yaakov Domer Tzir Rosh Hashanah. When does Rab Lezer ben Yaakov say that the sides of Rosh Hashanah are considered like Rosh Hashanah dami? Heicha deleka chifufi. Doesn't have these posts, these columns, like Johnny said. But if they have posts, he doesn't hold that it's Rosh Hashanah. So hilkach lahadanya. So it's comparable to that. So the Gemara has something for the Chachamim to have why they would be chai. Okay. We move on. Amrav Yud. So there was a machloikas that according to Ben Azai, when I walk, every time I take a step, it's considered like I came to rest. So therefore, if I carry something for Rosh Hashanah into that stav and then into the Rosh Hashanah, Ben Azai said I'm potter. Because since I'm walking, even though I never stopped, but every time I sort of put my foot down, it's as if I came to rest. And basically I transferred from the Rosh Hashanah to the stav, which is like a carmelis, so there's no chiyuv chatas. So even though Ben Azai pottered me with that, Moide Ben Azai bezoirik. If I take a football from the Rosh Hashanah and I pass it via that stav and it lands Rosh Hashanah, he will certainly also agree that it's chayiv, because he only said it's potter because I'm walking and I come to rest with every step. But if I throw something from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, I'm over the avera. Doesn't make a difference whether it traveled through the airspace. There's a brisa to support what we just said. I carry from a store into the Rosh Hashanah via this side area. Chayiv. Echad hamoitzi, ve'echad hamachnis, ve'echad hazor. That's whether you take something from in to out, from out to in, or if I throw something, or if I pass something. Echad hamoishi. Benazui oimer hamoitzi v'machnis because you're walking potter. But hamoishet v'azor chayiv because you don't come to rest. Okay. Now comes a very important baraisa which you would think, potentially, could have opened up Masechta Shabbos, because it gives us an overview. Tan Rabbanan, Daled Rishuyos l'Shabbos. It defines the 4 different domains for Shabbos. You could see, we didn't start that way. We started, it's right, the Oni and the Balabayas, Shtayim, Shein, Arba. We started in a very complicated way, sort of in the middle of a sugya. You could have seen the Masechta starting this way, but it didn't. So, Daled Rishuyos l'Shabbos. Rishus HaYochid, a private domain. Rishus HaRabim, the public domain. Then something called Carmelis, which we will define. And then something called Makom Ptur, like a free space where you could carry there, in to out to in, whatever you want.
What's
Now,
an example of a magnitude?
so anything above 10 tfachim in the Rishus HaRabim is by definition a Makom Ptur.
Oh, I remember when we said it with a post and something lands there.
If it's above, it's considered a Makom Ptur. The Rishus HaRabim is from the ground up till 10 tfachim. The first, and we're going to define each one. Ezewi Rishus HaYochid, Chritz, Shuhu Omek Yud V'Rochav Dalet. So let's say you dig a ditch that's 10 tfachim deep and 4 by 4 tfachim in
Right.
dimension. That's a Rishus HaYochid. V'chein Gader. You have a fence that you fenced in a courtyard, and the fence is Gavoa Yud V'Rochav Dalet. You have Dalet by Dalet tfachim and 10 tfachim high. That space that's created is a Rishus HaYochid. So it doesn't have to have a ceiling. So even your backyard that's got a fence that's 10 tfachim high, and it encloses a space 4 by 4 tfachim, creates a Rishus HaYochid. And therefore, somebody from Olympic throws something into your courtyard, you're chayiv, because it's a Rishus HaYochid, right? Certainly your house is a Rishus HaYochid. It has the same criteria. You have walls that are 10 tefachim. It encloses 4 by 4. What I'm trying to get at, it's not a ceiling. It creates a Rishus HaYochid. We just said a ditch that is 10 tefachim deep and 4 by 4 is also Rishus HaYochid. So if I roll something from the Rishus HaRabim into a space, I violated Shabbos. I transferred something from Rishus HaRabim to Rishus HaYochid. Zui Rishus HaYochid, Gemura. Now, Ezewi Rishus HaRabim. What's a Rishus HaRabim? What's a public domain? Sratya. Sratya is a public thoroughfare where a lot of people travel. Olympic Boulevard, Wilshire Boulevard, that's a Sratya. Dizengoff,
The freeway as well. Huh?
Jaffa Road,
The freeway as well. Huh?
the freeways as well, absolutely. Platya, Gedola, I would say Tiananmen Square, a large plaza which can hold, an immense Times Square, right? That's a Platya. And here comes a chiddush, umavuas hamafulashim. Let's say you have Olympic and Wilshire Boulevard. Let's say by definition we accept that both of those are Rishus HaRabim. And then you have a street that intersects, connects those two. That's a mavoi hamafulish, and that would have the status of Rishus HaRabim. Okay? So that's why sometimes it's complicated to make a neighbor. Okay. Zui Rishus HaRabim Gemura. Then, what's the rules? Ein moitzin Rishus HaYochid zu Rishus HaRabim zu. You can't take something out from a private domain to a public domain. Ve'ein machnisim, because hachnosa means bringing in, Rishus HaRabim zu Rishus HaYochid zu. What if you did? V'im hotzi ve'hichnis. So it depends. B'shogeg chayiv chatas. Now, remember, what does it mean to be a shogeg? You don't know that today is Shabbos. Or, you know today is Shabbos, but you don't know that this malacha is asur. Those are the two definitions of a shogeg. It's not like you do it by accident. No. Shogeg is exactly what I said. In those cases, you would bring a korban chatas. Now, b'mezid, you know that it's asur, yet you did it anyways. Onush kores. you get kores. And if Adim warned you before you did it, and they said, you know what, if you do this, you're going to get capital punishment. You get viniskal, you are killed through skila. Aval yam, an ocean or a beach. Ubika, like a meadow. V'istavnis. He says the areas in front of stores where the owners of the stores sit outside and handle with the customers. So it's an area in front of the store. All of those have a category, veha karmelis, which is another thing. All of these are going to have the status of a karmelis. Eino lo krishus harabim v'lo krishus hayochid. It's not a rishus harabim, and it's not a rishus hayochid. However, a noisen v'noisen b'soicha. You may not carry daled ames in that area, but v'im nosa v'noisen b'soicha potter. But you're not chayav achatis if you did it, because it's not midorais. It's a rabbinic rishus. Ve'ein moitzim mitocha l'rishus harabim v'lo rishus harabim l'tocha. Ve'ein machnis rishus hayochid l'tocha v'lo mitocha l'rishus hayochid. The din of a karmelis is you cannot carry something from rishus hayochid into the karmelis, or from the karmelis into rishus hayochid. You cannot carry something from the karmelis into rishus harabim, and you cannot carry something from rishus harabim into the karmelis. But if I did, the imhotzi v'hichnis patur. The karmelis is a rabbinic rishus, where they prohibit you from carrying either between it and the rishus hayochid rishus harabim, or I can't carry dal amis in it, but I'm not chayav achatis because it's only rabbinic. So they answer you, but it's potter if I did it.
Oh, I see.
Potter from chatis. Now, chatzer shel rabim, a courtyard that belongs to the public, but the public doesn't go through there. How about this? A person, chatzer shel rabim, a good example would be, you live in a 20-person apartment unit, and then there's a public chatzer that belongs to everybody. Let's say they have a pool there, or without a pool, right? There's a public area that each has access to. That's called a chatzer shel rabim. Now, the chatzer, if I ask you, what rishus would you say it is? This public chatzer,
Like a rishus hayochid.
it's a rishus hayochid. It's got walls 4 tefachim around it, and it encloses a space more than 4 by 4. No question. Now, one of the apartment units, what kind of rishus is that? Rishus hayochid. So, if I went from my apartment unit into the public courtyard, I'm going from rishus hayochid to rishus hayochid. Am I allowed to do that? Me'ikar adin, I am. But the Chachamim say I'm not allowed to unless I make an eruv, chatzeros. What is that? That you take a loaf of bread and you put it in one of you put it in one of the apartments, and what does that do? Everybody has to participate and give a dime or a quarter. So you have to collect from all 20. Hopefully they're all Jews. If they're goy, it's a problem. If you collect from all 20, and you put the loaf of bread in one person's house, what that does is it creates that is now one big house that's owned by everybody. And therefore the chutzner belongs to everybody. And therefore they can now carry from their house into the chutzner. Now Johnny asked a good question. Why do we need him? It's because if I go from a rishus hayochid into this public chutzner, I'm going to get confused, and I'm going to think, since this is owned publicly, I can also go from rishus hayochid to rishus harabim. It's a gzeira. It's a gzeira. And to avoid the gzeira, if I make an eruv, I can then do it. That's called chatzer shel rabim. Umevuos she'enan mefulashim. Now, let's say we have an alleyway, right? But it's not through and through. It's closed off on the end of the alley. So what do you have? You have a wall here and walls here, You have different chatzerot opening up into the mavos, and then here's the Rosh Hashanah. So that's called a mavos she'ena mefulish. That I would be allowed to carry there as long as I make an eruv. There, the eruv will be, remember, a lechi or a koreh, either a beam or something on the side. What is that? That's a hecker for you to identify. This is not the Rosh Hashanah. There's the Rosh Hashanah. Okay. Irvu mutorim. Like Rashi says, kol abatim shel chotzer yachad bepas. V'chein le'inyan maviyim irvu chatzer zepsuchos lo b'yachad. Right, if they all made an eruv together, you can carry. Lo irvu asur. Now the Gemara gives us an example of a makom p'tur. Adam oimed ala iskufa. Let's say your house fronts a Rosh Hashanah, but you have a what do you call this? The threshold. The threshold. If you stand on the threshold, that's a makom p'tur. Noitami balabayis v'noisid lo. I can hand something to the balabayis and I can take something back from him. I can take something from the owner and give it back to him. But I can't transfer from the owner to the balabayis. But if I did, if I did that, it's still potter, not chayiv, because it's a makom tur. Now, acherim oimrim that iskufa mishameshes beis rishus. Acherim disagree. They say that the iskufa does not create its own rishus. Rather, it depends. Sometimes it's a rishus hayachid, sometimes it's a rabim. Bisman pesach pasuach. If the door is open, the threshold is considered like the inside. But if the door is closed, pesach no, kilachutz, right? Because people from the outside can walk there. And in fact, if this threshold enclosed a space that was 10 high and 4 wide, it's its own Rishus HaYachid. Okay, so you see, this is a pretty big baraisa. This baraisa took up almost half the blot. And now, the Gemara is going to sink its teeth into this baraisa and digest it. Amar Mar. We said Zui Rishus HaYachid, right? We said it's got to be Dalad al Dalad and 10 deep. When a baraisa says Zuhi, it seems to imply this and not something else. What was it trying to exclude when it said Zuhi? Limu'ute mai. What is it excluding? Limu'ute had Rav Yehuda. To exclude the case of Rav Yehuda. The Tanya, we learn in the Baraisa, Yesra Kain, Rav Yehuda, Mishiesh lo beis batim b'shnei tziri rishus harabim. Let's say La Brea. Let's say this is a house, and across the street is a house. According to Rabbi Yehuda, I can make a beam that sticks out from, let's say from that side, from the, right, Young Israel Hancock Park is this long building. So if I have a beam going out on one end, and maybe from the house on the other hand, we have a beam going this way, it sort of creates an artificial wall. So now I have like a wall there and a wall there, and I can carry from Rosh Hashanah into the Rosh Hashanah, because I made like a fictional Rosh Hashanah in the middle. Lechem mikan v'lechem mikan akor mikan akor mikan v'noisen be'emtza. Said the Chachamim to him, Amru lo ein ma'arvim Rosh Hashanah b'kach. They disagree. You can't make an erev on Rosh Hashanah that way, and that, when it said Zuhi Rosh Hashanah, to exclude, we don't hold of Rabbi Yehuda's Rosh Hashanah to be able to create Rosh Hashanah this way with the Lechi and the Kohen. Okay. Now, another language word that the Baraisa used, we said Zui Rosh Hashanah Gemura. Gemura means like, this is Rosh Hashanah final. This is it. What do I need that word for? My korole Gemura. I would have thought Kipli Rabban Aled Rabbi Yehuda. Delavi Rosh Hashanah. When did the Chachamim argue with Rabbi Yehuda that's not Rosh Hashanah? A little telltale. Maybe to carry from this building into the street. That they don't agree with him. But maybe Avalizrok Moidele. But maybe to throw, because throwing is different. Shazork Mishazarabim L'tocha. Moidele the chayiv, maybe somebody throws from Rishus Harabim into that new Rishus we created, it's going to be chayiv. The shtei mechitzas deraisa v'sham v'shem Rishus HaYachid aleh. Because maybe this does create lechumra Rishus HaYachid. And if I was on the other side of the beams, and I threw it from Rishus Harabim into that area, maybe I'd be chayiv for transferring from Rishus Harabim to Rishus HaYachid through throwing. Kamash Shalom that I don't. Because it doesn't create Zui Rishus. That's a Dalad al Dalid 10 Tvachim high creates a Rishus HaYachid Gemura. That creates a Gemar where it creates a Mechitza that's going to make me chayiv no matter what I do, when I throw something in from there. Right? Whether it's a Chritz or a Gader. So, because since you only use beams, it's not considered like full machitzos. So therefore, we would not consider a Rishus HaYachid Gemura. Omer Mar. The Brisa said, Zui Rishus Harabim L'Me'ute Mai. When it says Zui, what's it excluding? L'Me'ute Idech Rabbi Yehuda. To exclude the other case of Rabbi Yehuda, it's not. Rabbi Yehuda Oimer. Im Haisa Derech Rishus Harabim V'Faskesan. So, gentlemen, there were these wells that were in the middle of Rishus Harabim, that when people traveled from Babylonia to Eretz Yisrael, they would travel in Rishus Harabim. Now, the question is like this. If the well is Daled al Daled and 10 deep, how can they, standing in Rishus Harabim, draw water from that well? They're taking from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus Harabim, which they can't do on Shabbos. So they built not full walls, because if they built full walls, they couldn't get their animals there. They built like small posts, right? Hasei rows. So they created like an artificial Rishus HaYachid around it. So therefore, when they were inside those posts and they drew water from the well, they were in a Rishus HaYachid. Now, im Haisa derech Rishus Harabim Faskesan, if the Rishus Harabim was traveling through there, no, you would have to divert it to the side, because otherwise it would have the status of Rishus Harabim. The Chachamim oimrim eino tzorech. Chachamim say you don't need to divert it to the side. That's why it said over there, Zui Rishus Harabim, al hiluch derabim lebein apasim lo Rishus Harabim. But when the public walks through these posts, it's not considered real Rishus Harabim, because there's mechitzos there. So that's what I wanted to exclude when it said Rishus Harabim Gemura. So Vamai Korele Gemura. So why call it Gemura? Because it's done stylistically for a literary term. I did the Tana Reisha Gemura, since in the Reisha we proved why we wanted to say Gemura. Tana Nami Sefer Gemura. V'lichshav Nami Midbar. Why don't we consider a desert to be Rishus Harabim? Da'atanya Ezuhu Rishus Harabim. Sratio Platik Gdolim Avuzam of Shloshim V'Midbar. There's another price that includes the desert. Amr Abai Loi Kasha. Kan Bizman Yisrael Shurim B'Midbar. That refers to when Klal Yisrael, 600,000 people, men, were in the Midbar. Then it was a Rishus Harabim. But the Sahara Desert today, without no people in there, is not a Rishus Harabim. Kan Bizman Hazeh. Amr Mar.
So what is it?
It's going to have a din of a Carmelis. Amar Mar. Im Hoitzi v'hichnes b'shoigeg chayiv chatas. We said, if I carried from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus Harabim, or vice versa, and I did it b'shogeg, because I didn't know today was Shabbos, or I didn't know that this malach was Aser, I have to bring a korban chatas. But if I did it b'mezid, on Rosh Kores v'niskal. If I don't have Asra, I get Kores. If I had Asra, I'm put to death. So the Gemara doesn't understand. B'shogeg chayiv chatas pshita. And b'mezid on Rosh Kores. So of course, Any avera that I do on Shabbos, b'shoigeg, I bring a chatas. Why here did you have to tell me chayiv chatas? Pshita. So b'mezud onish kores v'niskal itzrachali. You don't understand. That's not the chiddush. The chiddush was when we said you get skila. Why is that a chiddush? Hanami pshita. Anytime I violate one of the malachos on Shabbos, I'm put to death. Why would this be unusual? To tell me like this, Hakamash Malon Kidirav, Domarav Matsasi Megillah Storim Be Rab Chia. He unearthed an old document in the house of Rab Chia. The Kosovo was written there, Isi ben Yehuda Oimer, that Isi ben Yehuda said, Ovos Malachos Mem Chaser Achas. There are 39 malachos. Ve'eno chayiv ala achas. And you're only chayiv one. And we don't understand what that means. Eini vatnan. Avos malachos mem chasr achas. This is a Mishnah in Klal Gadol, which says that there are 39 malachos. V'havina nav minyan ulam ali. The Gemara asked the question over there, why did you have to tell me that there's 39? You listed, they're going to list them. Zoyrech, choyresh, count them. The Gemara's not a math book. I'm going to count it. I'm going to see that there's 39. So why do you have to tell me there's 39? It came to teach me a halacha. Let's say I did all 39 malachos, and because I had forgotten that all 39 of these were usr. The din is I have to bring 39 different korban chatases. So what does it mean I'm only chayiv one? I'm chayiv 39. Over there, that old Megillah said that, there are 39 malachos, and there's one of these malachos that you're not chayiv misa for. And we're going to have a debate which one that is. The fact that our Brisa said, this one you get skila, it's clear that Hotzavach Nasa is not one of the ones that are in doubt that you would be put to death for doing that malacha. In fact, we know who was the Benos Tzlofchad, right? In Parshas Bamidbar, in Sefer Bamidbar, we learn about the daughters of Tzlofchad, who came to Moshe that they wanted to inherit. They were 7 daughters, or 5 daughters, and they wanted to inherit. So they had to, because the laws of inheritance were given, it was only for the men. So who were the Benos Tzlofchad? Why were they inheriting? Because their Tzlofchad was the Mekoshesh Eitzim. There was one of the parshas in the Sefer Bamidbar is somebody was found Mekoshesh Eitzim, and they didn't know what the halacha was. They brought it to Moshe Rabbeinu, and he asked Hashem. They said you have to put him to death. What malacha is Mekoshesh Eitzim? So there's a debate. One of the shitas is he carried in and out. That he carried wood from the Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah. There's going to be other shitas that he sawed wood or that he collected wood or whatever. But here the Gemara is telling us it's clear that Hotzavach Nasa is certainly one of the malachos where there's skila involved. It's not one of the ones, because there's one out of the 39 that doesn't have misa, but this one is not one of them. Omer Mar. In the third Rishus, the Carmelis, we talked about a yam, the ocean, bika, a meadow, vistavnis, this little area in front of stores, the ha-Carmelis, and a Carmelis itself, which we're going to see what that is. Einan lo kashus hayachid v'lo kashus harabi. Is not a rishus hayachid, not a rishus harabi. Freit the Gemara, ubika is a valley or a meadow. Einan lo kashus hayachid v'lo kashus harabi vatnan. Depends. Habika b'mosachama in the summertime, it's rishus hayachid l'Shabbos v'rishus harabim l'tumah. Because there's no seeds there in the summertime. And therefore, it's not a place where a lot of people travel. So, people will not wander off the dirt road to walk through the fields. So when it comes to Shabbos, it's considered Rishus HaYachid. But Rishus HaRabim L'Tumah. Now, if you have a suffix tumah, you don't know that you became tomei. You're a suffix. What's the din? So it depends. Suffix tumah b'rshus harabim is toler. Suffix tumah b'rshus hayochid is tomei. Where do we learn that from? From the din of sota, where if a man suspects his wife and he warns her, don't sequester her in a private domain. So we treat her, even though we don't know that they have relations or not. No, it's a suffix, but he's not allowed to live with her until she drinks the sota water. But why? It's just a suffix. So from there we learn that suffix tumah b'rshus hayochid it's tomei, and vice versa. Suffix tumah b'rshus. So regarding whether this is a rishus harabim or not, when it comes to tumah, it's considered rishus harabim. Because it's not a complete private place. People will go into the field. Now, but bimosak shamim, during winter time, where it is planted with seeds, so nobody walks there. Rishus hayochid lekan lekan, and it's not considered rishus harabim. So how can you tell me that a field or a meadow is not a rishus hayochid or it's not a rishus harabim? This brisa says not like that. It is a carmelis. It's not a rishus hayochid, and it's not a rishus harabim. Ve'amai kari la rishus hayochid lefi she'ein rishus harabim. I call it rishus hayochid because it's not a rishus harabim, but it's not a full rishus hayochid. It's really a carmelis. Okay.